Hi everyone, Tasha here for Paper Sweeties, and today we're going to create a graduation card using the Sophie stamp set. This stamp set is great. It has this cute little paper doll image. This is the Sophie one. And then I also am going to be using the coordinating die to easily cut her out. I did pre-stamp and pre-cut this image out for this tutorial just to save some time. I'm just going to show you what it looks like already cut out using the die. Do you see how it cuts it out perfectly? It makes it really easy to stamp a bunch of these and just have them pre-cut and ready to go. So I'm also going to be using for the cap and gown, well not the cap, but for the gown, I'm using this dress that's in the Thanksgiving set, and I thought if we cut out the little fringe detail, it resembles a college or high school graduation gown. So I'm going to go over to my stamping tool and I'm going to stamp the little dress image. I'm using black hybrid ink for the stamping. This way I can color with alcohol markers and I don't have to worry about the colors blending or smearing. To cut out this little dress, I'm just using my scissors and just easily cutting around the dress and cutting off those little fringe details. Again, since I want this to look like a graduation gown, I don't have to have that fringe on the sleeves or the bottom of the dress. And that took no time at all to cut that out. Now it's time to do some coloring. I'm coloring the skin areas with 3 shades of Copic markers. And actually, when I thought about this a little bit more, I didn't really have to color all of the legs and arms or even the neck area since the dress would be covering it up. But I did color all those areas just when I was coloring. But it's really easy to do. I went over all of the skin areas with the lightest shade. Then I went in with the darkest shade, and then I'll blend the two colors together with a middle tone. And you can see how quickly it is to do this coloring, and you can use any skin tone that you want to. If you were going to go with a darker or tanner shade, you would just start with a darker light tone and then move up from there. So it's simple and you just have to kind of blend and keep blending until you have it just right. And again, I just wanted her face in the center to be a little bit lighter, so I just went in with that first color that I used, and this will give a little more highlight. Once I was done with Sophie's skin areas, I went in and started coloring her gown. It's nice because this dress has the little V part, or kind of like a design on the top of it, so it really does resemble a graduation gown. Most schools have where you have the school colors and then you have a little satin sash. So this way you can use whatever school colors for the graduation that you're going to have this graduation card for. I did add some shoes for her that coordinated with her gown, and then I added the satin sash to be gold to go with the red. Next, I'm moving on to color her hair. I started going over all of the hair areas with a deep yellow shade. I think this shade color is so pretty. So I went over all of the hair area, and then I'm going to bring in some brown tones. I'm going to go and just stroke little hairlines starting from where her hair is parted and then on the bottom edge. And if you just make quick little strokes, it gives a more realistic hair look, I think. And then you still have that pop of yellow from the first color we use showing. Lastly, I'm going in with the darkest shade of brown, and this again, I'm just having it from where her hair is parted and then on the bottom. And the yellow then, and then that mid-tone brown will give it lots of highlight, kind of like the light was shining on the hair. After I was done with the hair, I moved on to add some tassels to her little graduation gown. I went in with a metallic gold pen, and then I'm going in with some white gel pen to add little highlights to her hair, her eyes, her shoes, and then I'll also add details to that tassel. So just adding the little white kind of resembles how the tassel cord looks around a graduation gown. I just think it's so sweet, and I love the little white details on most of my coloring. After I was all done with the coloring, I went in with a Tombow black marker to go around the edges. This way you don't have any of the white paper showing, and it kind of has a more completed look. And then after I was done with the gown, I just went in and added the black around her shoes to kind of make it look more like shoes on her feet. And this is how she looks with her little gown. It's not glued together yet, but that's what it will look like when it's attached. So now it's time to start the background. I thought some stars would look great since this is a graduation card, and it also brings in more of that yellow. So I'm going in with Distress Oxide ink in Squeezed Lemonade, and I just kind of lightly brush that over, kind of all over that background. And then I'm going in with more of an orange color to add in a little bit of a deeper golden color for the stars. And lastly, I'll finish off with a shade of pink. I think the pink adds in so much color to the to that background design, and this worn lipstick shade is one of my favorites. Do you see how it's kind of, it blends in with that orange, and then pink and yellow have an orange, so you just have all of these coordinating colors to make the pretty stars, and I just love a star background. So once I was done with the ink blending, I gently removed the stencil, and look, you have all of these pretty color stars. To go around the edge, just to kind of blend everything together, I'm just using the extra ink on my brush, the one I used for the orange color, and I'm just going around the edges and kind of pushing the color towards the center. It makes it that the edges are darker, but it brings in a lot more color. Once I was done with that, it was time to die cut some grass. I'm using a shade of light green cardstock and running it through my die cutting machine. Once it was done, you actually end up with 2 pieces of grass. And then you just have to use your scissors to kind of cut them apart. So I just went in with my little scissors and just cut them. And look, you have 2 pieces of grass to use on your project now. The pattern or the cardstock is already green, but I thought I would use some Distress Oxide ink around the grass part and the edges, just again to bring in some more color and to go with the background design. This is a good idea if you wanted to do maybe a grassy ground area like I'm doing here, or even a sky. If you use a colored cardstock, you can add Distress Oxide ink to that color to save on blending time. And do you see how nice that looks, just having that extra layer of grass on the bottom? Now it's time to stamp my greeting. For this, I'm using 2 little mini, Sweet Mini stamp sets, and I'm using the word happy from the Sweet Mini Seasons add-on set, and then the word graduation from the Sweet Mini Celebrations add-on set. Remember, you can mix and match your stamp sets. If there is a sentiment that you have in mind, take a look at your sets and maybe you can mix and match to kind of bring new life to your projects. I didn't have a specific graduation stamp set, but this graduation sentiment and then the happy from the other stamp set worked perfectly to make my own greeting. So I stamped it on a gold paper. Again, I wanted to coordinate with the yellow and the stars and then the yellow on her gown. And then I just trimmed it down to size. Now I'm just using some glue runner and I'm attaching a mirrored paper. It's kind of like a silver mirrored paper. And then I'm using that same gold that we used for the sentiment for the back layer. And do you see how all the colors coordinate together, but you have that shine from the mirrored paper, which I love. Once I was done with those paper layers, I just used the same glue runner to attach the grass to the bottom. And I cut the grass down to the same size as that center stenciled card, so it made layering it super easy. I'm using the same glue once again to attach the little gown to Sophie, and it's really easy to just glue it on because the clothing goes with these paper dolls. To make her raise up a little bit higher, I'm using these foam squares. You can also use foam tape or just attach her directly on the card, but I wanted her to look kind of like she was standing on top of the grass. And I just think she's so cute. And lastly, I just attached my happy graduation sentiment to the top. For the card base, I'm just using a piece of white cardstock that I trimmed down to size. I made it the exact same size as the back yellow paper, so again, lining it up was super easy. And here's just a close-up of the card. And I love the stars with a graduation card, and these colors are so pretty for spring. So I hope you enjoyed today's project. Be sure to check out all the other design team projects for May, and I hope you're having a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.